I moved to Barcelona in 2001, and I moved from the US, from California, a country that has the reputation for having close to no architectural history. At least that's a reputation, even if it's not true. Um, and I was very surprised when seeing in the street, I would come across on an everyday basis containers and bags of hydraulic tiles being thrown away. So I actually do remember the first tile I did pick up. Back then, I was picking them up one at a time. I eventually came across close to Passage de Gracia to a container that had pink, green, and gray tiles, and they were all more pretty than the others, you know. And I was like, oh my God, I need to pick this one and that one and that one. And I had so many tiles, all different, one from the other. And thank God I was close to the house of a friend. I brought them at that friend's place, and eventually got them. And that's the first time I actually picked more than one tile. I think the idea came from seeing that over and over again, nothing was being done, that the tiles kept being thrown away. And if I was not just doing something, but what could I do with them? And it was out of just putting like tiles on the ground, you know, when next to the containers, I was finding them and seeing that if you put four together, you get a finished product. You know, you get a finished design, such as a sun, a star, um, a beautiful finished product. So, a beautiful finished design. Therefore, I thought, oh, what if I put four together and I start making tables? And that was like, I might not be, you know, the only solution to the tiles being thrown away, but I might be part of the solution, because I'm not going to change people. People are going to keep throwing tiles away. So it was a lot of let's act, let's do something. Let's start by the most simple and the most obvious, that were the tables. I eventually saw that the table sold and moved on to doing consoles, and eventually started making smaller items for people who were traveling or who wanted a small object from Barcelona as a souvenir, such as the frames, the coasters, and the trivets, which are easy to carry in a suitcase or to bring to as a souvenir to a loved one. Eventually, I bring them to my studio, and since most of them do have a fairly thick coat of cement in the back, I will have to hammer and chisel the back of the tile carefully so that they don't break. Um, when this is done, I have to clean the sides, and in order to get rid of the grout that is left there. Eventually, I will have to clean the front of the tiles, which is sometimes even more time consuming than the back of the tiles. So if after all this, the tile has not broken, which unfortunately sometimes happens after a few hours of work, but I eventually glue the tiles, you know, whether on a table, on a trivet, or wherever, and then I will grout. If it's tables, I will grout the tables. And the last thing I do is that I give them a polish with wax, with a couple of coats of wax, in order to protect the tiles and bring them back to their original glory and beauty. I like to tell my clients, because it's true, that all of their commission pieces are special, because everybody comes and has a different need, has different taste, and there I like to say that there is a tile for everybody, but as very unusual. I should say that a few years ago, I was contacted by La Pedrera, who was organizing an exhibit about modernism and decorative objects at the time during modernism. Therefore, they had finished putting together all of the exhibit, which were stained glass pieces, beautiful doors, sculptures, wooden furniture, and so on. They had everything. The only piece they were missing was a nice detail of floors. And they had contacted all the collectors, they had contacted all Catalonia museums, and nobody could come up with a decent detail of floor. They finally came to my studio and they showed me a couple of designs that they were looking for, with all, including all the details, all the surrounding pieces and so on. And I looked at them and I very proudly told them, look, you're going to have to choose because I have both designs. They are very important floors. And during all these years, I have been able not only find those floors, but to keep them all together. So they looked, it was two ladies, and they looked at each other and they were like, oh my God, we've been looking for that person for 18 months. 18 months, we asked everyone we knew and nobody could give us an answer. And that girl was here all along. And so, anyway, they picked one floor out of the two, and it was exhibited at La Pedrera, which was, I guess, my moment of glory. And I never, never, ever could have thought that some tiles that had come a couple of years before from the dumpsters would be one day exhibited at La Pedrera in such an amazing exhibit. So this goes to say that, I guess, the tiles are, yes, very valuable, on an architectural point of view, and it's a tragedy that they're being thrown away the way they are. When I moved here 21 years ago, I lived close to La Pedrera, and therefore I I visited La Pedrera. I don't know how many times, but from the beginning, I made sure to read everything that was written there, to listen and to view all the videos. And I must say that doing that visit really explains to you in great depth what used to be Barcelona, what is Barcelona now, and why it has become what it is now. The reasons. It explains to you the industrial revolution and so on. And to me, it's a very important, to this day, it's a very important visit. It's a place that people who love Barcelona, who want to understand Barcelona, should see. And obviously, if you are interested in Gaudi's work and masterpieces, same thing. If you read and view all the videos and look at all the maquettes, the miniatures, then you're going to be like, you're going to understand better his work, which is, in my opinion, very important. Another place, I think, a very important place is, don't remember. Yeah, of course, yeah. Another important place is El Palau de la Música from Dominique Montaner, another great architect of the modernist movement. You can go and see a great concert there, and that can be your way of seeing the Palau. But, it's an explosion of joy, of color, of great design. It's absolutely brilliant. If you're having a bad day, just go and visit the Palau de la Musica, and it's a to me that's it must be what heaven looks like. Flowers and pinks meeting greens and beautiful flower, yeah, beautiful floral patterns all over. And yeah, I think that's to me that's a version of heaven. And my last one would be just get lost in the Barrio Gótico, because that's the essence of what Barcelona is about. And it's medieval streets mixed in Roman walls or Roman ruins, and you have lots of enchanting, beautiful little stores. And just get, every time you go, you're going to see something that you had not seen time before. So it's to me, that's what Barcelona, that's where the soul of Barcelona is. And I think it's important to regularly get your fix of Barcelona history, to get lost into the old part of Barcelona.